Hello guys, and today, well, I suppose I ought to welcome you back to tea time. Today, we're having the other loose leaf tea that I rather enjoy. Citrus lavender sage. Probably ought to move that out of the way. Normally when it's right there, you get like lots and lots of me breathing. Yeah, that's yummy. I am feeding my daughter while we do this, so that's why I'm a little bit distracted. For that matter, Mommy is going to feed herself while we do this too. Minnie, Xahn, and Xahn are both hungry. But anyway, back to the tea. Citrus lavender sage. I've had a couple of people tell me that it has a very strong scent. My mother, when I let her try it, was like, "Ooh." My stepfather was like, "It smells like melon." I don't quite know how we got from citrus, lavender, and sage to melon, but I'm not going to ask questions. In fact, all I know is it's delicious. As I said a little while ago, this is one of two teas that I am currently rather enthralled with. I'm not certain if you guys can hear her, but she thinks that her breakfast is delicious. She is having, say, yogurt and peaches. It's very good stuff. She wasn't quite sure what to think of it when she took that first bite because, yogurt's a very different texture. But then she decided it was alright. Mommy is having scrambled eggs with Monterey cheddar jack cheese melted over the top of it and apple butter drizzled along with it. I refused to let myself be called weird simply because I like apple butter on my tea, or on my tea, because I like apple butter on my eggs. You want more? Yeah. So, getting back to the subject at hand, our current tea. The citrus lavender sage it does have a slight melony taste to it after it's brewed. It's a very light tea. It is very sweet tea. I'd say it tastes more like a honeydew than it would like, a cantaloupe. You have to keep it in your mouth, baby girl. You brew it about 1.5 teaspoons per 8 ounces for about 3 minutes. I brew mine a little bit longer. Again, I like a stronger flavor, more flavorful tea. I do not take this tea with sugar. It's honestly, it's sweet enough on its own. But it is finished brewing here, so I'll go ahead and show. Absolutely delicious. Yes, I know, girl. And I'm having a big girl cup today. Big girl cup. Ugh. I'm not feeding her fast enough. While we're currently feeding a 7-month-old, I suppose we could talk about baby food. Not that you guys care. But I did say that I was going to talk about things that were on my mind and interested me. I bet you guys didn't realize, or actually people probably do realize, that they can make their own baby food cheaper than they can buy it. But they think that it's going to take a lot of time and it's going to be a big hassle. Now, I am by no means the Susie homemaker type. And for God's sake, I mean, you see what's behind me right now, right? I'm not a slob by any means, but I'm not Betty Crocker. I'm not Martha Stewart by any means. But making your own baby food is simple. I didn't realize how simple it was going to be going into it. But, I mean, honestly, at about, if you've already, I mean, chances are, if you have a family, you already have a lot of the stuff that you need to do it. A blender. You might not have a steamer, but you don't need a steamer. You can boil the fruits or the vegetables, and some things don't even have to be cooked before you puree them. But going off of, having to buy everything from the get-go, I mean, a good steamer with like a triple deck steamer on it is only going to cost you about $30 from Walmart. I know I bought my blender for about $25, and you figure you go pick up some cheapo Tupperware. I mean, that's what we store it in, and you use that to hold batches, dish out what you need. There's less in there than it looks like. And one Saturday, you sit down and steam the stuff till it's soft. You don't really add any seasoning to it, at least not at first. And puree it up with some water. Stick it in the fridge. I made baby food on Saturday, and for about 2 hours worth of work, I've got enough baby food to last us at least 2 weeks. At least 2 weeks. And probably more like a month. We made a batch of, actually, no, I can definitively say there's more baby food there than 2 weeks. Yeah. And I cheat a little bit. Not going the whole all fresh vegetables. I get some flash frozen vegetables. Just like the kind that you use, for your own family dinner. And one of the smaller bags will make let's see, probably about 20 servings. You figure, I mean, when they first start eating, they only have like 1 2-ounce, a serving is 2 ounces, at least by my definition. But they only have like 1 2-ounce serving a day. And then, let's see, Jaina's 7 months now, so she has about 8 servings a day. No, she doesn't have about 8 servings. She has about 6. Sometimes she eats a little less, sometimes she eats a little more. It depends on what kind of mood she's in. But she has 3 feedings where she has food. And she'll generally eat 2 to 4 ounces in the morning, 4 ounces for lunch, and 2 to 4 ounces for dinner. And I mean, that's on top of breastfeeding, but yeah, that's all the food she's eating right now. That'll gradually increase as she gets older, but yeah. Set down, you figure if she were eating baby food from like the store, those things are $1 a serving, pretty much, a little bit more. Yeah, Tell them, say homemade baby food is delicious. And in case you're wondering why I'm sitting this way with her off camera and me on camera, she gets no internet times until she's at least 2. So, no cute Benny Xahn for you guys. Sorry. Come on, say ah. 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 That was not ah. It was not ah. Where was I? Yeah. Okay, so you figure she's eating, we'll just go with 6. 6 is a good round number. That's $6 a day. Now, that may not seem like much. I mean, that's one trip to a fast food place. But when you figure the fact that, add that over, see, I spent probably about $12 to make the baby food that I made the other day, versus spending $12 to feed her for 2 days, $12 to feed her for a month. That was Mateus. He decided he was going to be rambunctious. Are you done? Can mommy eat yet? Maybe. So, I think you're done. So, you factor in everything. I mean, it's not hard work. It's basically the work that you go through to puree baby food, to make baby food. It's about the same level of work that you would go through to, yeah? It's about the same amount of work that you would go through doing laundry. And most of the stuff is you put it on, you let it sit, you come back to it 10-15 minutes later. The steaming. What I generally end up doing is I load up whatever fruits I'm going to be steaming or vegetables I'm going to be steaming in there. And then, go from there. And then that takes, depending on what you're steaming, it can take anywhere from 7 to 15 minutes. So you start that up, start up your longest thing, go do something else, throw a load of laundry in, hear the timer go off, you come back, you take that out, you put it in the blender, put your next thing that you're steaming into the steamer, you blend up the stuff, pour it into a container. By the time you're done with that, whatever you were just steaming is finished, and then it rolls. So, until you run into something that, again, needs to be steamed longer, you're pretty much like, bzzz, beep, bzzz, it's easy. But there's so many aspects of things I'm slowly learning that you can do for yourself. Well, that sounds really stupid. There are so many aspects of parenthood I am slowly learning that people from my parents' generation, people from our entitlement generation who have this thing where, you know, it has to have it now, or it has to be the convenience factor. Mom, if you ever watch this, forgive me, but my mom has a tendency to do this thing where she'll sit there and she'll be like, Xahn, honey, don't force yourself to do this. And I'll be like, Mom, I'm not forcing myself to do anything. I want to do this. I want to breastfeed my daughter. I want to make her own baby, her baby food. It's not a convenience thing. It's not a hassle. It's easy. It's not but oh, don't breathe tea, Samantha. It's a bad idea. It's like, well, I did it this way and it was just fine and it was so much easier. It's like, okay, Mom, you aren't doing it, so how do you know that what you were doing is so much easier than what I'm doing? You just don't, I try to tell her all the time. It's like, if I cook dinner that night, why is it harder for me to take what I've cooked and puree it and give it to her? Why is that? How is that hard? How is that more convenient, or how is it that less convenient than, going to the cupboard and pulling out? It's not any less convenient, and goodness knows that it's always nice to know that you have food on hand. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I remember distinctly my little brother, or maybe it was my little brother, it might have been my little sister, I don't know. But anyway, we ran out of baby food, and back then we lived in the middle of nowhere. It was a 30-minute drive to get to the grocery store. 30-minute drive to get to the grocery store with a screaming, hungry baby. Not very fun. Oh, and don't get me started on formula versus breastfeeding. I don't have a problem with it one way or another, but for goodness sake, if a lady decides she wants to breastfeed, don't try to talk her out of it. Don't sit there and think you're being nice by going, oh, well, it'll just be so much easier on you. You'd get more sleep. Seriously, just support them. Really. If they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. It's not a big deal. But if they want to do it, don't try to talk them out of it. It's just not cool. That'd be like your friend coming to you saying, I feel like going to law school. And you being like, well, yeah, but you already have a perfectly good pharmaceutical degree. Okay, but they want to go to they want to go to law school. What's wrong with law school? Even if they never use it. Not like it's going to hurt them. Do you like your book, Jaina? She was getting fussy, so she is now reading the monster at the end of this book, and Mommy is not reading it to her because Mommy scares her when she reads it. So that's that. Let's change topics, because why not? I mean, we've only been streaming for what, 19 minutes? I remember somebody asked me a question at some point. I think it was on my YouTube channel. Don't remember who it was, don't remember what it was. Pretty sure I remember getting an email about a question. My channel No, I do not want to upgrade to the stupid thing. Oh, woo, woo, woo. Aha! Oh, wait, that was me. I thought I had 2 comments. Oh, it was James Judo who asked. James Judo 5. If Brother hasn't already uploaded it by the time you see this, you are going to have some pseudo Let's Plays coming at you. In fact, I've been considering doing some Xahn Survives Minecraft. We've been playing a little bit of, well, we went through and ran a dungeon this morning. I haven't checked it out yet. I've been having some issues with sound quality when I'm doing the Let's Plays, and to the point that they are like, you either couldn't hear me or other things were happening, and anyway, it's been various issues. So if this one has survived and it's not, you know, really bad audio quality or me mouth breathing, I had my mic in the wrong place in one of them, and it was like right underneath my nose, and you could hear me every time I breathed. It was bad. So that one got deleted. But you do have some stuff to look forward to there. I do have my screen capturing software up and running now. So that is something for you guys to look forward to. I'm guessing you guys have probably already figured this out by now, but Brother came to me and we discussed and decided that it didn't really make much sense for me to be posting stuff on, you know, we basically are both operating under the same, since we're working together, under the same posting stuffs for YouTube's. So my channel has basically been abandoned. I appreciate my 38 subscribers. Good Lord. Granted, I'm betting probably about 36 of those aren't followers or subscribers of my own reasoning. They're probably just people who've subscribed to me simply and solely because of my affiliation with Brother. I'm totally okay with that. If that's why you subscribe to me, you're A-okay. I did have somebody mention that they wanted to talk a little bit more about the D&D stuff. Today's just going to be a really random thing. So, yeah. I figure we can probably go ahead and discuss campfire. We have a thread called the campfire thread, which doesn't really have anything to do with anything. And being that this is my section of this thread, I feel pretty confident that the people that posted herein are probably okay with me sharing it with you. In fact, it's just Zeiss and Snarg, I think. So that's nothing really going on there. They've both given me permission to share before, and nothing particularly important happened here, with one exception, which I'm going to have to cut short when I get to that point, because only one person in the party is privy to this piece of information, and they're only privy to this piece of information because I was drunk at the time. So, I want you to picture a beautiful rolling hills terrain, green grass, very few fences put up, you know, very, very, very rural, very gorgeous. You can see for miles. And here is a petite, young, female-esque looking elf sitting leaned against a tree with a sketch pad laid across her knees, scribbling up a storm, basically. That is my character. She goes by the moniker Z. So Z is is leaned back against this tree, and she's overlooking the hills covered with flowers. And the narrator's daughter is helping narrate. Apparently she wasn't done with dinner yet. So my character is sitting there, and she has a big dark smudge of charcoal right across her nose, like she had just reached up and done this. And it's all over her hands and everything. And up to her walks Zeiss. Oh, don't think you've gotten this far yet with the D&D blogs, but Kezrintha is currently MIA. Not going into any further detail than that because of the fact that I'm not certain the D&D blog is caught up there. So Z is my current character, and she is an elf. So Zeiss sees Z. Yes, Zeiss and Z leaned against a tree. Apparently he thinks I'm writing something, and he walks slowly over, not being stealthily whatsoever so that he doesn't alarm me. My character is kinda jumpy. It's bad stuff. When he gets near enough, he realizes that she's drawing instead of writing, and he's uncertain how to start a conversation, so he simply says, "May I talk with you?" And then he stands there waiting for her response, fidgeting in front of her. No. He is forcibly preventing himself from fidgeting. Z is clearly distracted and has 100 or nearly 100% of her attention applied to this project that she is working on. And she gives an absent-minded wave toward the grass beside her. There's a nice cool breeze blowing through the grasses. And Zeiss notices, of course, now that he's standing next to her, that she's uncharacteristically cloak and face mask free. Normally Z walks around wearing... Normally Z walks around wearing a full-on face mask. It's actually a head wrap. It binds her hair, which is about mid-back length, up so that you can't even see her hair. And it covers her face, literally the entirety of her head, where you can only see like eyebrows and upper cheeks and eyes. And on top of this, she also wears a full-length, long-sleeved cloak with the hood pulled up. And it should be noted that the very first time, this is not spoilery at all, it doesn't matter where she is, be it Sahara Desert or freezing cold, she is dressed like this. You know, completely covered from head to foot. So her being cloak free is extremely uncharacteristic. The cloak, he notices, is spread out a few feet away from her, with Z's pet, whose name is Sumomo, a small pink cat-like creature, pink-furred, napping there, obviously contentedly. Zeiss, no longer waiting for a verbal reply. Oh wait, no, sorry. Without waiting for Zeiss's permission, his little fox, baby fox thing, whose name is Rainbow, jumps out of his sack and dashes over to go lay down with Sumomo. His ice hesitates for a few seconds, but he does sit down next to Z, finding a comfortable position where he is not touching her, and tries to speak casually. I just want to ask you about what happened at the ruins, where you got frightened. Z says distractedly. Hold on a sec, I can't see the monitor to keep going. Z says distractedly. She's smudging an area, now that he's closer, that he can see is a close-up of a flower near his feet. Oh, you mean my fear of heights? I've always been like that. I don't really care for them. They make my skin prickle, if you know what I mean. Zeiss stays silent for a few seconds, and then he speaks up again. I care about that. I mean, this concerns our group. He searches for his words. This is not something you should hide from the others. Hiding that you are who you are. We're gonna edit that. I understand, but since we are trusting each other with our lives, it would be good to warn the others about things that could go wrong, like your fear of heights. Z gives a dismissive wave of her hand. As long as they don't catch me off guard, it's not usually a problem. Hell, I've done scouting on top of Holtberg's city wall before. I can't say that I really cared for it, but I can do it. Those of you who have not seen the picture of Holtberg city wall, when I did this scouting on top of it, is about 400 feet up. So, for somebody scared of heights, that's like kryptonite. Zeiss responds a bit hesitantly, a bit doubtful, or at least that's the feeling I get out of it. If you're sure, I guess it's all right. He pauses for a moment, looking over at Rainbow, who has just started nodding off. We didn't really know what to do, that's all. I mean, you completely stopped being rational and mumbled about some Serena in Elven, looking at nothing in particular. He looks at her. I assume you're an elf. Am I right? You talked in Elven like it was your mother tongue. Now, Z is, it should be noted, has now appeared to the group in several different disguises. In fact, they aren't entirely certain if she is female or not. And there's a little head up in the window. You've got forehead. Where are you going? And why is your butt wet? Okay. Alright, we're back again. Sorry about that. We had a diaper change. Those are important things, you know. So, to get back to where we were. Z, as I was saying, has appeared to them in many different disguises. She's well versed in many languages. She looks like an elf. And by the way, I keep saying she because that's what she looks like right now. So she looks like a young, around 13-year-old female elf. So Z reaches up and she tugs on an ear, leaving a dark smudge on it, of course, because her hands are covered in charcoal. What do you think? These are for show? Yeah, you can say I'm an elf. At least I was an elf. Zeiss frowns a little. I wasn't even sure that your true appearance is this one. And why do you say was? You look like an elf. He frowns a little more. And your face is covered in smudges. He takes a small towel out of his sack and hands it to Z. Z waves the cloth away. I'm not done yet, so that's useless. She goes back to her sketching and shows no sign of answering your question about the was. Zeiss frowns even more. Come on, answer my question. You already said too much. You might as well explain it. He turns to Rainbow, who he can hear is softly snoring. Z reaches up and tugs on an ear again. This is what I used to be. Now you can't truly call me an elf. I've never seen someone like myself before, and no, I won't show you, nor can I explain it any better than that. She shrugs. My condition is one thing. My monstrosity is something else entirely. She gets a look of disgust in her eye. That hyena seems to think I'm living in fear, hiding, cowering away in a corner. She spits. He thinks I am some weak, whimpering damsel, too afraid of her own skin to even attempt to let society accept her. You saw how Rory, Higade, and Fiona Sill reacted upon seeing Kezrin the Worker for the first time? Remember that abject horror of some hideous monstrosity come to life? One can't simply walk on the streets of Holtberg in such a guise, especially not with the unconscious disgust and hatred for the people of my kind. Zeiss is silent for a few moments. He seems surprised to hear her talk so much, because Z very rarely goes on monologues. Snarg is just like everyone else. He wants other people to have the same values as him. The righteous are usually arrogant in their statements. Don't pay too much attention to what he said. He lets a moment pass before he talks again. Is this monstrosity of yours really bad? Because, well, you seem pretty normal to me. It's not like you could kill people by touching them. He laughs a little. Z looks particularly serious and thoughtful. No, I don't think I could kill them by touching them. Zeiss stops, smiling when he hears Z's response, and he considers it, trying to figure out exactly what she means, and then repeats what she said. You don't think? He looks at her and the smudges on her face. The thing that makes you different than all of us. Has it put someone else in danger? He shows concern, but he doesn't seem worried about himself. Of course not, because Zeiss is badass. Why would he be worried about Z? That depends on what you mean by put in danger, she shrugs. I suppose you could say I've put many people in danger, inadvertently, simply through their association with me. A brief, pained look crosses her expression. To my knowledge, my affliction doesn't harm those around me without me willing it to. Doesn't seem like you know a lot about this affliction of yours. He ponders a moment. You can kill people simply by willing it. I don't see what the difference is between you and me. Z laughs. I can't will them to death. It works like... well, like magic, but it's nothing I've ever come across. She glances over the picture which she has been smudging this whole time, nods once, and apparently is happy with it, and flips to a new page. Wait, it's somehow like magic? Zeiss frowns. Then how are you a monster? If the only thing strange about it is its uniqueness, you're not much of a monstrosity. Zeiss looks at her notepad and sees the drawing she's starting. Fiona also has strange abilities. At this point, Snarg appears over the hill. He's sniffing the ground and he looks up to see the pair under the tree. He hesitantly comes over and clears his throat. Oh, wait, no, that doesn't happen yet. Whoops. Well, it happens there, but it doesn't actually happen in time frame. So, in response to Zeiss, Z is currently rifling through her bag, looking for a new drawing utensil, apparently not wanting to start the work with charcoal. Nah, the monster part isn't really the abilities. I mean, magic is magic. I don't really get it myself, and I'm not too worried about it. It's not like I can't extract myself before I lose control if that happens. So Snarg hesitantly comes over and he clears his throat softly once he gets close. I'm not interrupting anything, am I? Do you mind if I join in? I need to talk a moment. Z replies, "What do you want, Fluffy?" She throws an extremely surly look at Snarg. Snarg paws at the ground and sits down in front of them. Well, oh, heck. I'm not too good with words. Even with this thing, he taps his jaw. He has a jaw piece on that makes him intelligible. So I'll just say it straight. Sorry for getting you all upset before. I know that probably didn't help when I went off on that tangent. I don't think you're scared, really. I don't. There aren't many people on this earth who do the things you're able to do. Truth is, I'm just scared myself. So I was pretending I was preaching at the knoll in reality. It started back at the temple, which brings me to the second thing I wanted to tell you. I'm going to tell you this little story. Get it off my chest. You're the only ones I trust with hearing this. Oh goodness, that's a big post. I forgot about that. Zeiss is clearly embarrassed. He doesn't know what to do or say, so he simply waits for Z to respond. But before Z can respond, the knoll goes off on a little monologue. Long monologue. I've been following the knoll most of my life. Did whatever Boss Gnawbone wanted, and we were fine most of the time, even hiding in that ravine. Didn't think there was anything wrong with just going with the flow. I kept my opinions to myself mostly, shut up when told, and, well, you get the idea. I wasn't unhappy at all. My little view on life changed a bit when I visited that temple. I don't mind telling you. I was getting shown exactly what I wanted. Our whole tribe settled in the crater. And he continues to go on through everything that he told us, and I shared with you via the D&D Q&A. So we're going to skip that and get down to the bottom. Snarg sighs deeply, having finished his story. I had to ask myself after that, what kind of world is this where the very elements themselves would do something like that to you? I couldn't really believe that that's something the elements themselves would do to someone just trying to live out their life and help others along the way. Back then I vowed to myself I'd take the initiative and get things done and not be afraid of doing whatever I think is the right path. Guess that's a bit why I went off. I was just looking for someone to agree with me on what I should be doing. Sorry about that again. I almost don't know what to do anymore. Is it even worth living? If even the powers that be think you're predestined to be a failure for yourself and others, I just don't know, and it makes me afraid. I know this probably isn't what you wanted to be hearing, or if you even care, but I just wanted to tell someone. If you want me to, I can do that. I can go now. Z responds, I think it's admirable that you want to do something for your people, but that's not me. Nor am I in any position to play diplomat. I fight tooth and nail simply to be able to exist here. And even then I have to accept what I am, a monster among men. I can't do what you call just being me. This is me. Understand that, and I have no quarrel with you. Betray that, and I will either have your head or cease to exist to you. There's no threat in her tone, but you do feel quite certain that she has done both with clinical precision, and she will not hesitate to do so again. Snarg cocks his head to the side. Yeah, I understand. I don't want any quarrel. That's really the last thing on my mind. He sighs and lays down flat on the ground, staring blankly forward. I just want people to be happy, but it seems I'm not too great at that. At this point, Z has finally found her graphite pencil, which is what she'd been hunting through her bag for. And she begins sketching again, letting out a long sigh. Look, don't let what I say get to you too much. I'm not great at expressing myself. Sometimes it feels like I don't, feel like other people do. Zeiss, still very embarrassed and feeling like he shouldn't say anything, remains silent. Snarg smiles weakly and winks at Z. Thanks, I'll take that into consideration. So, sorry if I interrupted you before. You can continue on if you'd like. I'll go away if it's private. If you didn't have anything going on, then mind if I ask what you're drawing? Z turns and holds the sketchbook up. Like I said, she's not much for talking. The image of hills and trees are beginning to form. As you glance up from the sketchbook, you realize she's drawing the landscape as it rolls out in front of you. Zeiss continues to stay silent, having nothing to say to Snark. I love how he posts that. It always amuses me. Snark looks back and forth from the landscape to the sketch. Ah, I see. Coming along nice, you think? Zeiss? I saw you looking at it when I came up. Zeiss looks back and forth between Snarg and the sketchbook. Yes, I suppose I know nothing of drawing. He tries to find something else to say, but fails. Snarg looks between Z and Zeiss and down at the ground. I'm sorry, I really did interrupt you too. I'll let you get back to it. Just let me know if you need anything. He picks himself up and dusts off his front side and heads away. Zeiss watched Snarg leaving, still reflecting on what he had said. He didn't seem to realize that Snarg didn't seem to realize that his story had made Zeiss very uncomfortable. Zeiss then turns to Z. Was I supposed to say something? Z, distracted, very much so, sort of answers. She mumbles, I don't know, I don't think so. Just kind of seemed like he had something to get off his chest. Zeiss ponders for a few moments. Then, thinking that he found a way to restart the conversation, he says, Do you still have that hand-stitched kitten? Z sets her sketchbook aside and starts sifting through her bag. Yeah, it's... Zeiss interrupts Z in her search. You don't have to give it back. I was simply wondering if you had it since you were really out of it when I handed it to you. Rainbow still hasn't woken up and she's snoring louder than before. It's almost like a whistle. The breeze is still blowing and the sun is almost directly overhead. So we've got nice shade under that tree and it's lovely. I received that kitten in prison. It's not really my thing, so if you want to... Z turns bright pink and turns back from the bag to you, to Zeiss. I can keep it? Zeiss seems quite surprised by Z's reaction. I did say you could. I should not have been gifted this anyways. The little girl who made it did not know who I really was. So it seems more fitting that you would receive it. Z is silent for a moment, and then resumes sifting through her bag. Confusion appears on Zeiss's face as Z returns to her search. You don't want it? It was a gift. You should keep it. Z is continuing to sift through her bag, but after a short time she gives up and dumps the entire content of her bag of holding onto the grass in front of her, and begins sifting through the pile. Zeiss smiles when he sees her dump the contents of her bag. It was a gift made to a man wrongly accused of spoilery, but I am guilty of other things. This little girl wouldn't have given me this gift if she knew what I've done, but I think she would have done it for you, so you keep it. He looks through Z's belongings scattered on the grass. I don't want it. That was Ice, by the way, not Z. And there's now a small little fire elemental in the shape of a bird zipping angrily around Zeiss's head as if it doesn't want you so close to its master. He easily dodges its attempts to fly into it. And as he looks at her belongings, he spots lots and lots of intricately detailed knickknacks among her stuff. Things that are clearly not for, they have no actual value except aesthetic value. Then, of course, there are several completely mundane and clearly frequently used items, including a writing slate. Doesn't matter, that little girl gave it to you, and besides, I'm betting the things I've done are way worse than a newbie ex-flock member like you. Zeiss is confused as to why the little fire elemental is trying to attack him. He actually never really understood how they worked. He stands up and approaches Z cautiously. I doubt it, Z. If it was you that was sent to prison instead of me, I would not have tried to free you. I wouldn't have even felt guilty. Now, he puts a hand on her shoulder. Just stop, I don't think it's there. Z brushes his hand off her shoulder. It has to be here. I know I put it in my bag. On the cloak, Sumomo is starting to stir. His eyes sighs, and he kneels down and picks up her bag of holding. It's just a cuddly toy. He starts picking up her belongings and putting them back in the bag, writing slate being the first. Z snatches the plate out of your hand and tosses it in the bag, and then begins tossing things that are not your stuffed kitty cat back into the bag. It's here, I know it is. At this point, you spy Sumomo flying around. Z's kitty cat little character is anti-gravity-ish. Think Mew. Hey, Sumomo's carrying something. Zeiss points to her flying away from them. Maybe it's the kitten. Sumomo, upon hearing her name, comes flying up to them, and sure enough, she's holding a little stuffed kitten in her paws. Z, who had turned around, catches sight of it and gives a little lunge after it. Sumomo does a back flip away. The chase ensues. Rainbow is woken from her slumber by the noise, and upon seeing Z chasing Sumomo, thinks this looks like great fun and goes running after them. Not sure if that would work at all. Zeiss is not sure if it will work at all. Zeiss calls out to Sumomo, "Hey, pass it to me and she won't catch it." Sumomo stops abruptly, changing directions and hurtling herself in Zeiss's direction right past Z's ears. Ooh, attempting to change direction as well, trips over Rainbow and lands on her rump. Sumomo turns back and is sitting there snickering in her cute little way. Zeiss walks over to Z and extends a hand to help her back on her feet. It's just a cuddly toy, stop hurting yourself. Z is now clearly fuming as she accepts your hand up. Get back here, Sumomo, that isn't yours! And off she goes, Sumomo dancing just out of arm's reach. Yes, it's mine. He looks up at Z and then at Sumomo, who's flying happily in the air. Do you want it, Sumomo? I'll give it to you. Sumomo stops and turns and looks at Zeiss, cocking her head from side to side as if listening, floating just above Z's reach. Z, meanwhile, is cursing and jumping up and down, attempting to grab her. He smiles at Sumomo and then speaks again. So you do want it, just not if you do. Sumomo cocks her head to the left and blinks at you a few times before flying out into the flower field, leaving Z to give chase again. Zeiss looks at the two still running after each other, and Rainbow, who was knocked out by the collision with Z. He finally gets up. He pets her and says, "You go follow them, okay? Just make sure she keeps the kitten." Rainbow nods happily to Zeiss and runs after Z and Sumomo. As for Zeiss, he decides to go take a walk, and he leaves. But it doesn't end there. Things only get better. From across the field, a retreating Snarg turns around and freezes, and he looks listfully at the little figure flying across, and he hunches down on all fours. He's looking at Sumomo. Studying his prey for a moment, he suddenly springs forward and launches himself toward her. Snar pounces on Sumomo mid-air, grabbing her softly and bringing her down into the ground. After sniffing her fur curiously, he lifts her up and holds her out to Z. Sorry there. I looked back and saw there was a runaway. Sumomo is squirming furiously in his grasp. She twists and turns, fighting to be free, dropping the doll at Snarg's feet. Z comes huffing up to him and picks it up. Thanks. She looks around for Zeiss. Oh, the doll. Snarg nods at her thanks and releases Sumomo to float freely. He scratches himself awkwardly as he watches Z look around. You're looking for something, right? He does not hiccup. If you're looking for something or tracking someone, I can help you if you'd like. Zeiss, he was just here a moment ago. This is his. I was returning it. Snarg glances around the area. Well, if you want me to, I can track him down for you. Shouldn't be too hard, although he scratches his ear thoughtfully. If he just took off, do you think he wants to be found? He might not be too happy if I spring up on him again. Z pockets the doll, clearly still frustrated. I'll give it back later. She goes and plops herself down on the grass, and Snarg notices, for the first time, that there is a suspicious brown bottle sitting next to her. She reaches for this and takes several giant gulps. You are getting ready to figure out exactly why Z has been acting so out of character. Snarg follows suit and sits down hard in the grass. He remains silent as Z drinks, picking at several blades of grass. He grins a bit as Z puts the bottle down. A little bit of inspiration? Just a little bit of indulgence. She grins. Snarg sniffs the bottle and licks his lips. Boss Gnawbone never let me drink any of that stuff. Not after the first few times. Made a big mess quite a few times. Been told I get excited. I guess I kind of got used to that, but maybe a bit wouldn't hurt. You got any extra? I'll trade you. Z giggles. This is a full-on schoolgirl giggle, completely out of character, and holds the bottle out to him. It's half full, and it smells very fruity, but very strong. Second to the last bottle. Second to the last bottle I got, but drink up. As he responds. Snar grabs the bottle and sniffs at it curiously. Ooh, that's a bit strong, he says, shying away a bit. Oh, well, why not? And he raises the bottle up high and takes several large gulps. Whee! That's strong, all right. He coughs, quickly bringing the bottle down. Hang on. And he begins thumping on his chest with a fist as he exhales and coughs. Now, it should be noted that the alcohol that Z is currently drinking is about the strength of Osei moonshine. It's I guess what you could most closely compare it to would be hooch, which is basically you take anything and everything that you've got on hand, mostly clear alcohols, dump them all together, and toss in a bunch of fruit. Let it sit overnight, and then drink it. You can feel the alcohol. Depending on what alcohol you used, you can taste the alcohol, but the predominant overflowing flavor is fruit. So, very, very easy to get drunk off of this stuff than you realize. So, I think when I sat down and we talked about it, I was like, you're going to be completely smashed after about 6 gulps. The average person will be. Z, having just downed about half the bottle, is giggling madly at Snark, who is convulsing. Poor guy. Snark, after several more conservative sips, was now cackling like crazy at every movement Z makes, when he is not standing and sitting every few seconds. Now I remember why I wasn't allowed to do this. Last time I went and called my brother a rock kisser, and then got thrown in the river. He stops, bouncing around, and becomes deadly serious. Or maybe I threw a rock in the river and kissed my brother? He thinks hard for about 10 seconds before a look of realization comes upon him. Wait a minute! He's not around here, so nothing can go wrong. Leaping into the air, he takes another sip of the bottle and resumes his laughing. Z has begun chasing Sumomo around the tree again. Snark joins in, chasing Z and Sumomo, stumbling and falling more and more as he becomes progressively dizzier. Snark finally takes an extremely bad stumble, collides headfirst with the tree, falling backwards and landing on his rump in a daze. Z, who's fairly well drunk and fairly well dizzy herself, is still running around the tree, misses the fact that Snark has tumbled onto his rump directly in her path, and stumbles over him, sliding on her nose a good bit before coming to a halt. Sumomo thinks this is hilarious. Oof! Z says, and she spits out a large bit of grass from her mouth. Oh, I've made a mistake, Snark groans, holding his head. Why'd you talk me into this? Z giggles madly. Did not do no such thing. You wanted to dry it yourself. She assumes a drunken air of authority. Now my fault you cannot hold your liquor. She does hiccup. And more giggles ensue. To translate, I didn't do no such thing. You wanted to try it. It's not my fault. You can't hold your liquor. Wait, I can't tell what you're saying. Here. Snark fumbles and detaches his jawpiece after several pitiful attempts, manages to take it off, and he hands it over to Z. Is be helpin' ya, yep. I'm assuming that was Snark's drunken, non-salvaged attempt at saying, this will help attach it. Z is fumbling around with this jaw piece that was not designed to fit her jaw, it was designed to fit Noel's jaw. And after many failed attempts and lots of giggling fit, she gives up and just holds it up there. I didn't do any such thing. Giggle, giggle. It's not giggle, giggle, hick. My fault, hick, hick. You can't hold your liquor. Yes, there's a hiccup in the middle of liquor. Oh, it's being made for Knowles, right? Snarg reattaches the jaw piece to himself after several clumsy attempts. Hey, let's go find Zeiss. He's missing out. That was me, not the other thing. Fake hiccups cause real hiccups. Please don't try that at home. He climbs clumsily to his feet and begins poking and sniffing around the tree where Zeiss was sitting. Z plays copycat. I see where he went. Snar grabs up the bottle and takes off towards the forest. Z goes charging after with Sumomo and Rainbow chasing behind. After a few minutes, Snark points straight ahead to a figure walking in the forest, looking very similar to the back of Zeiss, i.e. it's totally Zeiss. And Snarg takes off at full speed towards him. Come here, you've got to try this, he shouts, launching himself through the air. Making contact with Zeiss, he tackles him to the ground and puts the bottle in front of Zeiss's face. Here, come on, join us. This stuff is great. Try some. He's obviously drunk, as evidenced by his behavior and his breath. Z follows suit, yelling, dog pile, as she launches herself on top of Snarg and Zeiss. Sumomo and Rainbow, not far behind and thinking it's great fun, hop on top. Z is giggling madly. Again, and still. Zeiss suddenly finds himself pinned to the ground. He can see a bottle of alcohol in front of his face and also feels Snarg's breath on his neck. Then he hears Z screaming something stupid, after which she jumps on Snarg. With difficulty says, What are you doing? I can't breathe. Oh, forgot about that, Snarg says. Sorry. He leaps off from Zeiss, causing Z and Rainbow to go tumbling off the pile. Sumomo, however, is now hovering above Z, giggling in her little Mew-style fashion. Still, Snarg says, you've got to try this. He holds the bottle out. Good stuff. And Z calls out, what'd you do that for? Hick. I'm not doing real hick because they're going to give me mad hiccups and I'm not dealing with that. After getting on his feet, Zeiss notices that Snarg and Z are both completely drunk, and he wonders how. They were quite sober just a little bit ago. I'm not sure I want to. That's only what you think before you try it, Snarg insists. It's good, delicious, Z says, and she pulls out a fresh bottle from somewhere. Here, her, try. Hick. Zeiss looks at the bottle, then at Snarg, then at Z, and returns his gaze to the bottle, then to the old bottle, and then to the new one. If I have to embarrass myself, you will give me 20 pieces of gold. He says this half seriously, not really expecting Snarg or Z to agree. Z goes fishing around in her waistband, only to discover that her bag of holding, complete with money pouch inside, is not there. Just drink, she says. She demonstrates by yanking the bottle out of Snarg's hand and taking a giant swig. So she's now double fisting. Zeiss waits to see if Snarg is going to give him the gold he asked in exchange. I don't got 20 gold. I don't even got any but one, Snarg admits, looking rather crestfallen. Z shoves the second bottle in Zeiss's hand. Just drink! Zeiss knew that Snarg wasn't lying. After considering a few moments and remembering that these two were responsible for breaking him out of jail, he decides to take the bottle from Z's hand. Okay then, I hope it's not too bad. He takes a sip, and it's very fruity. What the? It's the first time I've drank that kind of alcohol. No wonder you were already drunk. Keep in mind, this stuff is strong. You would be feeling the effects and be mildly tipsy after just one drink. Much stronger than real life hooch, but hey. We're in a game where there's this stuff called Ogre Brew that made somebody pass out after a drink. Yeah, me, Snark hiccups. Me too, it's great. Z is chanting, drink, 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 and she's pumping her fist in time with the chant. Zeiss takes another sip from the full bottle. Rainbow jumps onto his shoulder to have some too. But Zeiss turns her away. No, you're going to faint if I give you some. He looks at the place where they are. We're not going to drink here, right? It would be bad if we got lost. No, we won't be getting lost. I can find my way. Snarg looks around the woods. Out of here, no problem. Z grabs at the bottle in Zeiss's hand, having tossed hers to Snarg. However, she misses and stumbles face first into a tree. Yeah, that's the right way, Snarg points past the tree that Z had ran into. See, even Z knows where to go. Okay, guys, let's go back to the tree. He helps Z get back on her feet and halfway supports her as they start walking back toward where they came from. Stop limping, Z, Zeiss says. Oh, that way! Snarg points in another direction and bounds off toward it, barely avoiding the trees as he stumbles back and forth. Z, however, attempts to jump on Zeiss's back. She's incredibly drunk, she does. Piggyback, she says, and takes another big swig of the drink. Zeiss makes his way over to the tree, with Z on his back and Snarg running around. You should not have drunk that much. Snarg leaps around Z, tongue hanging out. Should, but we did. Live a little bit. You can't tell me you don't want to loosen up a bit. After all, that's what's been going on. Zeiss lets Z fall to the ground near the tree, almost exactly where she was when they talked. Thought that was awful rude. He just kind of dropped me. I didn't even throw up on him or anything, and he just dropped me there. Zeiss, if you ever do that to me in real life, I'm going to kick you in the shin. I'm kidding. I won't. I might fuss at you a bit, though. I don't really like being dropped. Don't really like being picked up, either. Yeah, whatever. Zeiss sits down and turns to Snarg. Your metal jaw thing is working even when you're drunk, it seems. Z, who is giggling like mad and squirming around and drinking more. And then Zeiss drops her unceremoniously on the ground and she lands with an oomph. Hey, what'd you do that for? Snarg plops down in front of Zeiss and Z and becomes deadly serious. I know. Isn't it great? I tried to give it to Z, but he leans in closer and whispers quietly. Couldn't use it because it won't fit. He leans away, nodding slowly, seeming proud of himself for revealing this fact. No, whisper. Sorry, brain fart. No whispering. Tell me. Z takes a giant gulp. Ignoring Z's... I'm assuming that's French for demands. Zeiss, I think you went and started talking in French. Anyway. Ignoring Z's demands, Zeiss turns towards Snarg with the same expression of seriousness on his face, and then he whispers, Do you think something's wrong with her? Snarg points at Z, eyes wide. Yeah, she's not a knoll. Wait, that's why she couldn't use the jaw piece. He slaps himself on the forehead. That's why it wouldn't fit. Zeiss takes the bottle from Z and has another swallow. He's really starting to feel dizzy. So, Z, is this really how we have to call you? Because a letter's hardly a name. Zerl! She lunges after the bottle, landing half in Zeiss's lap. Whoa! Zeiss says as he finds Z on his lap, trying to take the bottle back from him. He's in shock for a moment, and then he goes, Is that your real name? He shakes the bottle in front of her. clearly meaning he's only giving it back if she answers his questions. Z, for unknown reasons now suddenly clearly understandable, yells back, "Yes, damn it! And I'm, spoiler, years old. Now gimme!" Sorry. Snarg attempts to scramble up the tree, finally making it up to where he is after a running jump, and he perches on the branches and grins wickedly, making sounds every few seconds. "Oh, really?" Zeiss says. "Nice to meet you, then. Just one last question before I give this bottle back." And he smiles at Z. "Who is Serena?" Z stops at her grabbing motion, and for half a second is clearly quite sober. I don't think anybody caught this, or if they did, their characters didn't make any mention of it. But for half a second, she goes from her clear and drunken antics to clear-eyed, staring straight at Zeiss, hand still halfway in the air, then catches herself and almost immediately resumes her drunken antics. Sharna? Who dat? Sharina, who? I don't know either, Snark calls down from the tree, momentarily stopping his noise-making. And baby girl is fussing, so we are going to actually call this here, Zeiss is pestering Z and gets nothing out of her. That's pretty much the end of the adventure. Until the next day. Dun dun dun. Over in Snark's thread, which I don't have permission to share. And the baby girl's fussy and she kind of comes first. So, toodaloo, signing. Just realized I didn't have the signature pachoo on there, and we cannot end a video without the pachoo. So I'm adding this in like 2 days later to give you guys your pachoo. So you're getting an extra minute or so. So be happy. Signing off. Pachoo.